I'm a connector of people.
I'm the reason you can video call your loved ones.
Let friends know you got home safe.
Work from home or jump on the latest social media trend.
Whether I'm climbing in a city or somewhere remote.
Jumping in the van early in the morning to repair storm-damaged cables.
Fixing a fault at a roadside box.
Or learning about new technologies.
I'm proud of what I do.
Because what I do impacts millions of people every day.
I'm literally connecting people.
If you told me last year that I'd be working as an engineer, keeping the country connected,
I'd have said, no way, that's not me. I'm not even technical.
But here I am. I guess we're in the business of changing people's minds as well as careers.
I work for a company that values me.
BT encourages me to learn and progress my career.
One day, I could become a specialist, a trainer, or even a leader.
I'm proud of what I do.
I'm powered by me.
And empowered by BT.
So my name's Melissa and I am completing a 2-year apprenticeship in HR. I think there's a culture here where everybody's so understanding that you're an apprentice and you're new to the organisation, so it's absolutely fine to make mistakes and that there's no silly questions. With my apprenticeship specifically, I get to rotate into different areas, which is really good for me because I've never done a role in HR before, so it's really good so I can see what I like, what areas maybe I don't like as such. The aim for me is to complete this rotation in business partnering and then roll off and become a qualified HR business partner. So I'd say that I'm more maybe of a bit more like a shyer and kind of reserved person. In my first rotation I got the opportunity to get involved in this career progression programme and I feel like that just gave me a lot of confidence in that aspect. So I'd say one of the great things about being an apprentice at BT is the opportunity to be able to work 3 days in the office, which I'd say is really great because you get to come in and network and collaborate and spend time with your team. And then I also have 2 days where I work from home. That's really great just to help me focus a bit more and to get a lie in. So when I first started, I was quite nervous about not making any friends, but it was actually quite the opposite. So since I've been here, I feel like I've made a really great group of friends, not just apprentices, but graduates as well. And BT really encourage you to connect with a wide range of people. I feel like apprenticeships, people perceive it as just kind of making the cups of tea and kind of doing all the little kind of admin-y jobs, and it's not like that at all. Like, you get to be involved in so many kind of exciting opportunities and you get made to feel like one of the team rather than just the apprentice.
Hi, my name's Faida and I'm a Digital and Technology Solutions apprentice. 110% going into the apprenticeships, being able to use both your work knowledge that you've learned in the past and being able to, I do uni on the side as well, so being able to do both of those and apply that knowledge, I was like, I have to do an apprenticeship, and being able to work in different teams throughout the 4 years, I was like, yeah, by the end of it, I'll definitely know. Even if I didn't know at the start, I'll definitely know at the end what I'd want to do. Luckily, we have a whole building filled with like different people within the business. So I think there's a data analyst friend that I've just spoken to. She's invited me to like events that she does as well. Everyone here is actually so friendly to talk to. Even though I've been here for a year and it's still surprising to me every day when they're just like, yeah, come in for a chat, let's talk, let's go out for lunch. And I'm just like, this is fun. And it's just like really easy to connect within the building. Like BT is very big on like hybrid working. So Monday I get to work from home. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I get to come into office. And then Friday, they've actually dedicated from uni days. So that whole day I get to spend in uni lectures, doing my uni assignments. Because I'm a degree apprentice, I get time aside from my actual work. There are days that we have within the office, which are like kind of social days. Yesterday we had a like therapy dog come in. His name was Chase, and I was like, oh my God, it was just nice just having a little pet. This week, there was uni assignments. We had a submission day, and it all got too much. And my manager, I've been able to talk to her about it, and she said I can work from home. And it was like very easy to communicate that across to her. So I was like, okay. And that gave me time to really like relax and get the work I needed to get done. Luckily, the submission is done, so I was like, yay. To someone who's applying to BT, I would definitely say, once getting your CV in the door and you going through to the next stage, definitely showcase your personality. That is a big thing that BT definitely looks at. Hundreds of you can be applying. The thing that makes you different, that makes you stand out, is your personality. It's what you do on the side, outside of work.
So I'm Joel, customer engineer. Obviously I've just finished the apprenticeship, so full-fledged engineer now. In a proper working day, what I'll do is get up, sign on, get my jobs. We tend to have like a morning meeting where all of the engineers will kind of have a chat on Teams, just kind of see who's doing what. But yeah, then typically it's jump in the van, head to the customer site. I've actually been at BT exactly 2 years this month. I mean, there's so many opportunities that do present themselves. For me at the minute, I've applied to a more specialist role, so I'd still be on the same team, report to the same manager, that I'll be working in prisons. I've only been into like one prison at the minute, and that was literally just to plug a pair of headphones into a computer. I used to work for a building society beforehand, just like answering mortgage queries, and then after that I moved over to sort of like outbound sales and insurance. If I'm honest, I just had enough. I wanted a job where it was just, you just had a bit more freedom with it. I can literally just go about my day, call the customer, see when they want me to come about, and then obviously just head over. For me, a really satisfying day is when I manage to come up with a solution or find the answer to something that I've just been stuck on all day. You know, that there's always people that can help, but when you just figure stuff out off your own back and get that thing working after spending about 3 hours there, it is just, normally go and treat myself to a Starbucks after. I mean, I joined this apprenticeship not really knowing where I wanted to go in life, what I wanted to do. I'm so at peace with what I'm doing that, like, you know, I could quite easily see myself being here for years on years. Even if it's in prison. Working in the prison, just for a disclaimer.
I'm Catherine and I am a digital software apprentice and I am on a 4-year apprentice course. I like being able to apply what I learn in uni in my day-to-day work because I'm dyslexic, so I think practically learning is way better than just reading loads of books. Everyone is very patient with you and they do understand, like, there's no pressure around like something that you struggle with. And everyone is very different, so whatever they would tailor towards people, because there's 4 people that are dyslexic in my team and all of us are very different and need different things. I feel like whatever problems I have, I can go to them and they would definitely 100% support me. Well, I would have quite a lot of one-to-ones, maybe one every month, just to keep on top of if the uni work was getting too much or if work was getting too much and if I liked it. So no, they would just make sure that I wasn't stressed out, and if I was getting stressed with uni, like if it was coming up to a deadline, they would completely understand, because I'm in the office as well. They can see that I'm working on my uni work, I'm not just sitting at home doing nothing, and they want to keep you as well, so by you doing your uni well, then they get to have you, so it's kind of a win-win for them. So I would normally take a study day as a Friday, and then we would have like lectures or just catching up on work kind of thing. So in the office Monday to Thursday. So BT had emailed my skills that they had, so they had sent it out to all their pupils, and then I got the opportunity to apply for BT and went through a whole interview process and tests and video interview as well before. And it is a great way because you are learning and earning as well.
Rosie, I want to talk about the application phase of your degree apprenticeship. So Rosie, when did you kind of realise that a degree apprenticeship was for you, and where did you go for sort of support when it came to actually doing the application itself?
So I knew that I wanted to do an apprenticeship quite early on, I think probably about year 9, year 10 of school, before I went to sixth form actually. I was always pro-apprenticeship, didn't really want to go to uni. So when it came to applying for my apprenticeship in year 13, after I'd during my A-levels actually, I went to my school for support. They helped me with my application, but there's also tons of support out there. So you can go on the UCAS website, for example, there's some fantastic support.
They're good UCAS, aren't they? Yeah.
There's some great support on there, for example. You can go on the government website, but for BT, for example, you can go on their website and they've got really great support on there. So you can look at how you apply, what tips and tricks you want to utilise when you apply as well. So there's tons out there that you can use.
And Ao, how about you? Where were you looking to try and get advice and support for your application?
For me, I think I had a mentor at the time, luckily, in year 13. So I went back to him, asked him a couple of questions about some of the process. And unlike you, Rosie, I actually had applied for university and done all my personal statement and cover letters. So I kind of took inspiration from that and then used it to sort of build my application as well.
So you applied for university and a degree apprenticeship as well?
Yeah.
What made the degree apprenticeship get the nod ahead of university?
For me, I'm much more of a practical learner. I don't necessarily like sitting down in lectures and just learning a bunch of content for a test and then not necessarily being able to practice what I've learned. And with the apprenticeship, it just allowed me to have a bit of both. So during my normal week, I'd be working and actually putting what I'm learning in university into practice. And for a general purpose, for university, for my own self, I thought that I'd just be learning constantly in lectures, and it just didn't really appeal to me like that.
But Rosie, on the other hand, you wanted to do a degree. You knew you wanted to do an apprenticeship from an early age. What gave it the nod over anything else?
Yeah, so uni never appealed to me. I'm quite a homely person. I love being at home. I quite enjoyed school, but I didn't like sitting in lessons all day, and going to uni, having sort of the aspect of being in lectures all the time, really didn't appeal to me. Again, I'm quite a practical person as well. I like being around people, working with people, and learning on the job. And I think that's what's perfect about a degree apprenticeship especially, is that everything you learn at uni, you do get to put in practice in the workplace.
And when you were applying, no doubt you had to do an interview, did you?
Yeah, I did. I had 2 interviews actually.
That's double daunting then. How was preparing for them, and what kind of questions were you asked once you were in them?
So I think 2 different aspects for those. So the first interview was a video interview. So this is an interview when you've got your laptop in front of you and you can actually see yourself when you're answering the questions, which is a little bit bizarre. And I'd say definitely do some practicing. Practice looking at yourself in the camera. I know that sounds really, really weird, but it definitely helps. And then for the normal interview, I had that virtually as well, but I had another person. So I had the BT recruitment team on the other side of that. And that was just like a normal interview, quite typical interview questions.
And looking back on it now, what advice would you give to younger Rosie going to do those interviews again?
I would say practice as much as you can. I think practice makes perfect. I know it's very cliche, but it's also so true. So yeah, I'd say practice as much as you can.
And get yourself a mirror to do the talking to yourself thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And Ao, for you, did you have to do an interview?
Yeah, so I had a video interview as well, and then for the second one, I actually had it in person. So this was actually face-to-face with who was going to be a manager at the time. And yeah, it was quite daunting, especially because I'd never been in like a job recruitment type of environment before. It was very different to like some of the, I guess, part-time job interviews that you might do or whatnot. But yeah, it was definitely an experience to remember, yeah.
What kind of questions you were getting asked?
So for us, we had to prepare like a brief in terms of, can we like pitch an idea for a current BT product that we are using? How can we make it better, essentially? And then they started asking me questions afterwards about, my skill set. Why do I want to do an apprenticeship? Why do I want to join BT? And that was actually a lot more relaxed than you might think, to be honest. I just kind of said the right things, and yeah, it just got a bit more comfortable, a bit more easier towards the end of it.
And you also mentioned you're diving into professional life, which is something that a lot of people won't have ever done before. So how was that transition from education to suddenly you're employed?
At first, I'm not going to lie to you, it was tough. And that was only because at school, like in sixth form, you're always sort of put in the same sort of routine. And I guess if you're not necessarily doing something you're supposed to, you have like your teachers or like your head of year to tell you what to do. Whereas at work, it's like, right, you're here to work, like everyone's on the same page. So I think the first week was a bit difficult for me, but then afterwards, like it got easier, especially because with the managers, they just kind of helped me get used to the way that BT do things, and it was a lot smoother than I actually thought it would be. Because at first I thought, oh, if I'm not here on time, you know, I might get fired or something like that. But yeah, they kind of eased me in quite nicely, and yeah, the transition was smooth overall.
What advice would you therefore give to Year 13 students now to try and deal with that first week?
I would say relax, obviously not relax too much, but don't be too scared. I know it might sound a bit like, yeah, it's easier said than done, but I think just remember that you got in, they wanted you, and now you're here. So have faith in that and just, yeah, relax and enjoy it all.
Have a laugh.
Yeah, have a laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, fun. Rosie, for you, what advice would you give to Year 13 students now thinking maybe a degree apprenticeship is for them?
I would say be quite practical and organised. So apprenticeships open at different times for different schemes, for different companies. So try and keep ahead, try and look at what schemes open at what time. You can normally see this on their website as well. So for the BT apprenticeships, for example, they open at different times depending on the scheme. So yeah, be practical, look ahead and have perhaps a little bit of a schedule of what's opening when, so you know what to do at what time of the year.
Spreadsheet?
Yeah, that would be brilliant if you can. That would be good for your interview as well.
There you go. Rosie, in terms of the application process itself, how is it kind of broken up?
Yeah, so there's quite a few different stages, and I'd actually say it's quite different to uni and, if anything, quite a bit harder. So I think the first stage is where you'd put your application through. So you'd select which scheme you're applying to, you'd put your name, your contact details and all of that information on. You would then get pushed through to a competency test. So this is looking at a couple of different things like some simple English maths, some puzzles, different things like that, although that does slightly differ for different schemes. After that, given that you pass, hopefully you do, you would go on to the online video interviews. So this is the one where you can see yourself on the screen. The next one after that, hoping that you pass, you would go through to the assessment centre, and this would be where you'd be given a small task, typically in a group, and after you would go through to an interview. And this last stage can be done online or in person. Again, it does tend to differ by the scheme and also the company.
And how important is things like confidence, self-belief as you get through those stages? Because I imagine you probably build in confidence as you get through each stage.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's normal to be nervous. I think that's probably a good thing, actually. But I think try and be as confident as you can. Believe in yourself, because when you're doing this process, you're typically talking about yourself a lot. So you need to be confident in yourself and what you're saying. I think that's super important.
And Ayo, for you, how did the application process itself work?
Yeah, so it was pretty much quite identical to yours. Obviously, you have the personal information that you put in first. Then we had a competency test. And I think for myself, because I was in a tech role, we had also some tech-related questions. Again, nothing too hard or in-depth. It was mainly just getting a grasp of where you are technically. Then afterwards, we had a video assessment. So again, looking at yourself in the mirror, answering some questions. And then I had a assessment centre, I believe, and then afterwards, once the assessment centre is done, again, this is just getting in a room with other people that have applied, potentially some managers as well. You're getting to do some group activities so they can just sort of, they know who they're recruiting for, I guess, and see how you're working in a team setting. And then after that's done, hopefully you pass and the offer's yours.
And on assessment centres, going to them, how would you advise people to present themselves, things like dressing, things like asking the right questions? What's important there?
I think the thing that's important is making sure that you're dressed as if you were going to actually work at that job that you're applying for. In terms of asking questions, I'd say ask as much as you want to know. So anything related to the job in terms of, okay, what will I be doing? What sort of, obviously I know what role I've applied for, but what does it exactly entail? What type of teams are there? And I'd also just say keep an open mind and be able to come across as someone that can actually work in a team, because at the end of the day, you're never really going to be working by yourself. You're always going to be in a team. So that's what I'd say.
No I in team.
No I in team, no.
There is a me, though. just something to think about.